So AutoGPT,
Breathe.
yeah,
Take your time.
this stuff is scarier than the previous stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a book by Ray Kurzweil, okay? It's called The Singularity. And Ray Kurzweil is this crazy guy from Google, super old now, who used to take like all these pills. And he used to be like, I don't know if the story is true, but this is the story I've heard, okay?
The legend.
He's taken all these pills and he's like, I want to live for at least another 30 years because we're going to reach this point called the singularity where then you are able to figure out unlimited life extension for me. So the pills, or the singularity rather, is a concept where tech is able to build more tech by itself and you reach this virtuous spiral that goes faster than any human can comprehend. Okay? And one of the preconditions for a technological singularity is code being able to write other code, right? I would use the word self-modifying, but it's not really self-modifying. It's slave-modifying, which means, let's say there's a GPT, and what AutoGPT does is, I can tell AutoGPT, I have a task. Let's say I want to make InShots, right? The app, and we did that, right? And just make a short app, right? And take the top 5 news of the week. And I'm just giving this like plain text instructions. It will do everything after that. It'll go to the web, find out the top 5 news, summarize the top 5 news, save it to a text file. Then by itself, it will go to, it will itself write React code and it will say, okay, this is the front end, this is the UI UX. It will build out the UI UX. It will build out the back end. It will put everything together, right? And it will essentially just spit out code that you can now just deploy. And eventually the deployment will be easier as well. And having written code for 17 years now, this is one of those things that scare me. Because there is a lot of malicious use, right, of something like this. Because you can tell it anything and it will find the best way to do it. Like OpenAI or GPT has been trained theoretically on millions of web pages, right? Probably billions of web pages, right? Are you telling me that not a single web page has the nuclear launch codes?
I fucking hope not.
I'm sure some guy's written it, right? And obviously the nuclear launch codes is a little different because you still need to go physically to the console and type it in. But even if you put it encrypted, okay, GPT, and you can just put in like reverse text. You can put in text, but the other way around in GPT, right? And it'll jumble it for you. It'll know you're sending it a puzzle and it'll, reassemble it for you.
GPT can decrypt something.
Yeah, it can decrypt something. And you don't even need to tell it, decrypt this. You can just be like, hey, here's the text, that's it. And just ask it for a response.
Tell me something. When you saw AutoGPT for the first time, because when I saw AutoGPT, my first reaction was, oh, so this, I can also, if I can learn just how to understand code or just the basics of it, I should also be able to turn text into code now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it can enable anyone to be able to build their own website, their own, scale of the app, a small scale app. Why are you this way where you thought nuclear code? Why are you like this is the question.
So 3 ways to look at it, okay? I'll tell you actually there's 2 ways to look at this main thing of it's going to allow everyone to code. One is a lot of people think, okay, more coders, that's great. That, more cool technology entering the world, that's probably true. My worry is when you have godlike technology and you give access to the godlike technology to anybody, that's cool, that's a good thing. But I feel like good people and good and bad are a spectrum, right? But good people generally don't do bad things, right? They're like, I have this godlike technology, I must preserve it. Like driving a car.
Correct.
Like a car is a scrap of metal, it's a weapon, if you really think about it, right? Yeah. And you can just, if you really wanted to, you can just swerve into the street and kill a pedestrian, but you're responsible now. You will go to jail.
Correct.
Right? If you do that. But something like AutoGPT where nobody can
unless you're a movie star, whatever.
Yeah, unless I
thought of that joke and I said, should I say it? Anyway, go on, continue.
No, keep that in. So you can't swerve into somebody. But with GPT, if people don't know it's you can just run it on somebody else's computer, right? Like till today, we don't know 90% of the people who run like a Pirate Bay or something like that.
This is my driver. My driver was not. Anyway. Yeah, so that is one. But I was imagining how, like, I have a friend who's a designer who freelances on the side making websites for people. And this friend of mine, he works with a developer to build the websites, right? So now he was telling me saying, "Oh, dude, now I don't need to split my revenue with the developer. Now I'm able to use GPT.
Let me give you a reverse Uno card there.
Huh.
There's a guy in Bangladesh now, 17-year-old, who has no expenses, who can do what your friend does now, essentially, including the design part,
Yeah,
for 1/10 the price.
correct.
So you have this supply-demand thing, right? You're inflating supply.
Yeah.
Everyone can do it.
No, but it won't be like, so your core skill of what you're really good at. Like I think correct me if I'm wrong, AI can enhance your core skill.
Make you 100x.
Like me on AutoGPT is not as good as you on AutoGPT.
Yeah.
Right? So every person becomes like that, like a FIFA character, right? You click on them and speed is 90, dribble is 78, and power is this much. So depending on what your core skill is, AI can take it to that next level and bring you up to the very basics on other skills.
Yeah. My worry is not that. My worry is I think 90% of the world is not extremely good at anything. Like Kunal Shah keeps putting up tweets about inefficiency, right? Inefficiency runs the world. Most people are hired in an inefficient role. The problem if you have a platform that can give you 10, 180 IQ or 160 IQ interns who can do anything you want, never tire, this, that, I'm talking digital work, I'm not talking about physical work right now, is you'll have the top 1% obviously do a spectacular job, right? If you're the top 1% in your field, and I would debate with you about me being better on AutoGPT than you, because you would use AutoGPT in a completely different way, right? Like I'd make very, very specific types of apps with AutoGPT. You'd probably make different types of apps. You'd make apps that are valuable creatively, or maybe a joke generator. Like, I'm just giving you an example. I would never do that, right? So I feel like it's a different set of ideas which have come from your life experiences. So I feel like that shapes the ideas you will generate with AutoGPT. But I think that the problem is 90% of the world isn't that good, right? And that's the problem. The top 1%, 10%, whatever, will obviously be successful. In fact, they're going to become 100 times more successful. The other 90% is who I'm worried about. And the other 90% is who I'm constantly, saying, what can we do with these people? Can somebody think about these people? Because nobody is. And everyone on Twitter has this narrative that, it's all going to be fine. You'll just become 10 times better. Actually, you don't. You won't. Right? There's no reason for you to become 10 times better, because the people at the top are going to try to take everything. Like today, a top VC would be in like N number of companies, right? Would have value accretion from N number of companies, much more than, let's say, I would have or you would have, right? So I feel like it makes the rich or the intellectual, like truly intellectual, the people who can execute 10 times better, and it makes the median or the average just lose out on whatever average job they could have gotten. That's my worry. Like now you have no choice but to be like a sports level athlete in your space. Like you don't have no choice but to be in the top level. It's like football, right? Like you have 1 million people in let's say Argentina who can play football, but 11 plus substitutes make it to the main team.
But what happened after the industrial revolution and the information age? Like once Web 2 came in, mobile came in, like the fear was the same, right?
Yeah.
Which is that a lot of jobs will go away, etc., etc. So either there'll be newer jobs. I was watching the Lex Friedman, Sam Altman. I think something similar that he also said, which is either there'll be newer jobs or it will enable like the mediocre will have somewhere to go.
See, this is what I disagree with people on, right? And by the way, I want to mention again that these are opinions. These are my opinions. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Varun is Max Doomer. Okay.
Yeah. Like
That's the reason why I'm on this podcast, for
balance.
for balance.
Yeah. So